Lesson 2.3 Working Planes. In this lesson you'll learn what a working plane is. You'll learn how to create working planes. You'll learn how to save and restore working planes. And you'll learn how to use working planes to control object creation. Back to Vectorworks. Open the exercise file Lesson 2.3 from the exercise folder. If using imperial measurements, open the imperial exercises folder, and if using metric, use the metric one. If you're looking for your exercise folder, you should have downloaded it from the very first lesson. So you need to go back to the website, go to the first lesson, and download the exercise folder. This is lesson 2.3, which is all about working planes. So let's just have a look here. We've got a little object that we want to work with, and we're going to use this to create working planes. Now there are three types of working planes that we're going to use in Vectorworks. One is a screen plane, one is a layer plane, and one is a 3D working plane. Let's just have a look first of all at screen plane. When I draw a rectangle, I can choose to create a layer plane, a screen plane, or something else. I'm going to start with screen plane. Now you'll notice when I create a screen plane object, it's like it's stuck to the back of my screen. Just watch what happens when I start to rotate my view around. You notice my screen plane object doesn't move at all. That's this object here, the screen plane. If I draw another rectangle, this time I'll put on the layer plane. So just here, layer plane. And I can toggle the automatic working plane on and off using the backquote key. We don't know what automatic working planes are, so we'll just leave that alone. Now a layer plane object is like it's been drawn on the ground. So when I rotate my view or change my view around, you'll notice that that object looks like it's been drawn on the ground and it sticks to the ground. Which is kind of handy. Now the other way we can draw objects is to draw them on the working plane. But first of all, we need to know what a working plane is. We've got a tool for that, and I'm going to change back to my Fundamentals workspace so we can find it easily. "3D Modeling." This tool is our working plane tool. It's used to set a working plane. There are two modes. We can use the 3-click mode or the 3-point mode, or we can select a face, the planar face mode. If we choose the planar face mode, you can see my cursor has changed and it's now got this big purple or pink square attached to it. This is my working plane object, and this is looking for an object that it can associate a working plane to. So now you'll notice that the side of my object has gone blue, and it's found either the center or a point that it can use to start the working plane. Now where my cursor is at the moment is the origin of the working plane. That's 0, 0. If I set my working plane there, the center of my working plane has been set to the center of that side of the object. In other words, 0, 0 on my working plane is at the center of my object. If I go to this object and I click on the top of it, my working plane has now been moved to the top, moved to the front, moved back to the side. So when I draw an object now, it will be drawn on that working plane. So I can then set a working plane to the top, and then I can draw an object on the top. So I'm going to delete those because I'd like to do something else. Let's go back to our Set Working Plane tool. So we find that we can highlight the face of an object, we can click, and that sets a working plane. And then we can move away from it, right click, working plane, and we can save that working plane. And this will allow us to restore working planes later. I'm going to call this one left. I'm going to create another working plane on the top, right click, working plane, and save working plane. This is going to be my top, and I'm going to create a front one as well. So click, right click away from everything, working plane, and save working plane. I'm going to call this the front. So that gives me the ability to restore working planes when I need them. So I can go to the left, the top, or the front. So that's a great way of being able to draw back on the face of my objects. I hope that makes sense, because the next thing I'd like to do is to get rid of those working planes, go back to my layer plane, and this time I'd like to draw a rectangle, and I'd like to activate automatic working planes. So again, did you know that we can toggle the automatic working plane mode on and off by pressing the back quote key? So let's don't show that again, because now that we know what an automatic working plane is going to do, we won't need that. So you might remember that as we moved near the face of objects with the Set Working Plane tool, it would highlight in blue, like this does. But I have my rectangle tool at the moment. Now, this is an automatic working plane, and Vectorworks is automatically detecting my object face, and it's allowing me to draw directly on the face of that object without having to go through the process of creating a working plane. Now, it doesn't save the working plane in this case, but it's much quicker to draw. Now when I turn my view around using my flyover tool, you can see how I've actually drawn on the face of my object. We'll be using working planes a lot as we work through our projects. Doesn't matter whether you're doing landscape, set design, or architecture. You will need to understand this concept of the automatic working plane in order to speed up your work. In this lesson, you learned what a working plane is. You learned how to create working planes. You learned how to save and restore working planes. And you learned how to use working planes to control object creation.